right here is Maxwell. You going to bring him up, Zach? Zach's got you.
No, I'm just going to stand in front of the stage.
Just do a one
Okay.
180 right there.
Yeah.
Max, there's your mic.
Yeah. We wisely decided that me getting up on the stage was not a good investment versus possible return. Because if he's big, I'm bigger. Today I want to talk to you about the power of asking. And I want you to think about when you started your podcast, all the things that you were thinking you needed to do or people told you had to do or should do. Beyond just recording your show, you have to create a website or a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page or somewhere where you can tell people to come see your show. You have to share on social media or create an email list, record the episodes, find the courage to post them, ask people to listen to them. And I'm just getting to the beginning of the list because a lot of people who have podcasts also have blogs or magazines or writing books. And the point of all this is if we worry about trying to do everything ourselves and make it a one-man or one-woman show, we're going to overwhelm ourselves, we're going to scare ourselves, and we're going to keep ourselves from taking some sort of action that will allow you to get to the next point. I personally have learned over the years that independence is very overrated. Interdependence is a lot more successful because we weren't really meant to do these things by ourselves. And think about it. If you find people, either in person or online, who agree with what you're doing, who get you, who want to come along for the ride and help you build something, isn't it so much more fun? Now, I have an advantage. I grew up with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a hereditary degenerative disease, and it causes you to gradually lose your vision over life. So I knew from an early age that I was going to go blind, or mostly blind. And so all my life, people have been telling me, Max, never be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for what you need or what you want. There are lots of people out there in the world who will help you. And the only real sin is if you decide not to ask. So I have an advantage. I don't mind calling up the guy who's putting on a podcast festival and saying he needs to have me on his stage, or sending an email to a guy who has millions of people listening to his show on the radio, or asking people to look at my blog and say, would you please tell me why this ain't working? Could you help me figure out why my photos are ending up in the middle of my blog instead of on the side where they belong? And so because I've been willing to ask people for help, I've managed to find lots of great people who have helped along the way. And it'll be the same for y'all. It isn't just because I'm blind that I get help. It's because I sincerely ask people to help me. And I've been trying to think of a way to put this where people will understand it and get their ego out of the way. So here's the one thing I want y'all to remember. When you refuse to ask, you rob the other person of the joy they would have received from helping you, or would have received from being a part of your project or your goal or your vision. I find that a lot of people, when they start thinking about it from the other person's point of view, and they stop thinking about how it makes you look, you go from, this will make me look weak, stupid, unprofessional, ineffective, whatever negative words in your head, if I ask for help or if I ask for opportunities, and you go to a position of strength where you're like, there's somebody out there who's spent years learning something, or they were born with a natural ability, or they have skills that I need, and they're just waiting for somebody to come along and go, hey, I know you know this stuff. I know you got it all down. Would you please help me? And just imagine the kind of smile that you will see on their face when they get that opportunity. There are lots of people out there in person and online. For example, I met my book editor online. I met a lot of the podcasters that have led to other things like speaking at conferences, being part of book collaborations, publishing to online magazines, a lot of these things. I met these people online, and it usually started out with, does this look okay? I've got this problem. Could you help me with it? There's information I'm looking for. Can you tell me where to find it? So what I want you all to do is to think about who is there that you know, that you've met recently or that you've met online or that's part of your circle who has skills, abilities, talent that you need, and reach out to them. Introduce yourself to them. Get to know them, share their content, become their friend, and then after a while, go, hey, I need your help. But what's really beautiful is that when you make these connections, a lot of times these online friends will go, I noticed that you're struggling with something. I noticed that you want to do something bigger. I want to help you. So in closing, since I think he's telling me to get off, my daddy once told me that if you don't ask, they can't say yes. And that's the one thing I try to remember in everything I do. Most people will tell you the worst thing that can happen is they say no. That's the negative approach. So I encourage you. If you don't ask, they can't say yes, and they sure as heck won't say yes.
Thank you, Max. Thank you very much.